Welcome to my views on news, some news stories for you. Firstly, viewers, it seems that on Sunday, a protest will be held in Wolkait, Western Tigray. A few days ago, we saw rallies across Tigray. In several cities of Tigray, people, especially IDPs, took to the streets. If you remember, back then I said that there could be counter protest in Amhara, especially in Wolkait. Same seems to be happening tomorrow, it seems. Secondly, second news story is about Fano fighters. Debre Elias monastery, which was under the control of Fano fighters, or where there were Fano fighters at the monastery. Ethiopian army surrounded the monastery. There was an operation, several were killed, and now pictures are being shared of Fano fighters arrested from this monastery. The pictures show captured weapons too. Pictures show fortresses, bunkers which were built there, as if it was a place for some military purposes. Thirdly, Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia. Human Rights Commission of Ethiopia has released a statement confirming that human rights abuses are being committed by Ethiopian government against Eritrean refugees, especially in Addis Ababa. Firstly, viewers, Wolkait, apple of discord between Tigray and the Amhara region, is still area of conflict because the two sides so far are making conflicting claims to the status of Wolkait and Raya to Tigray and Amhara regions. And though Pretoria deal was signed in November last year, but there is no mention of final status of Raya and Wolkait in Pretoria deal. It was said that through dialogue, political issues, other issues will be resolved. No dialogue so far between Tigray and Amhara regions. Dialogue is ongoing, but between Tigray and Ethiopian federal government. As I reported in the previous video, that Tori Eskidam talked to Getachew. Getachew confirmed that a team from Tigray was in talks in Addis Ababa about return of IDPs to Wolkait. So it may talks there, but no involvement of Amhara reportedly. Now, we saw rallies across Tigray more than a week ago. IDPs took to the streets in Mekelle, Adegrat, Adwa, and they demanded return, that they should be returned to their homes. They should be allowed to return to their homes, and that aid should resume. Supply of aid should resume, because we know that WFP, USAID suspended aid delivery to Tigray a few weeks ago, saying that aid was being stolen by local authorities, local players. IDPs from southern and western Tigray are in Tigray, in Shire, etc. And there are tens of thousands in number. They could not return because the governments, interim governments in Wolkait, Raya, they are opposing the return of IDPs. We saw rallies backed by Tigray government in Tigray. Now a counter rally is going to be held in Wolkait tomorrow, reportedly. On Sunday, the rally will be held in Wolkait, I think in Amhara, and some other parts of Wolkait, Amhara, Sagade too, reportedly. We'll have to wait to see, but expected demands are going to be release of budget for this part, because Amhara government, Ethiopian federal government did not allocate any budget for Western Tigray. Why? Because the future status of this area is still unclear. Secondly, they want answer for question of the identity. We know that Wolkait Resistance Committee, Wolkait Amhara Identity Restoration Committee has been struggling for years, claiming that the zone is part of Amhara. Colonel Demek Zadu has been working for decades. He is now deputy head of this area, and he and those who support that this zone should be part of Amhara, they demand that the Amhara government, Ethiopian federal government, should clearly tell what is the status of Wolkait now. Is it part of Amhara? Is it part of Tigray? Is it independent area? They want clear answer. Their demand is that this area, this zone, Wolkait, should be part of Amhara region. That is why we could see protests in Wolkait on Sunday. We'll try to update you on Sunday about this development. A counter protest, I think. And obviously, protesters will oppose the return of IDPs. As Colonel Debre Elias has been saying publicly, he's been opposing the return of IDPs. He's been saying that there could be criminal elements who could destabilize the area, and that Amharas were expelled from these areas years ago. And then we saw that Colonel Debre Elias led administration expelled Tigrayans too. Let's see how the issue is resolved or not, but tomorrow's protest is expected. Secondly, viewers, second story is about Fano fighters who tried to organize a resistance in East Gojam in Debre Elias Wareda. And we saw 5-day long fighting between Fano fighters and Ethiopian army at Debre Elias Trinity Unity Monastery. Monastery remained under siege by security forces. Then security forces stormed the monastery and several were killed in that attack. Some say around 10, but we don't have any reliable information. But casualties are being reported by several sources. Government is largely silent, but Debre Elias, the communication office has confirmed that some criminal elements were collecting arms, they were organizing military trainings at the monastery. So that is why security forces had to launch this operation. Now pictures are being shared by some pro-Ethiopian government news sources showing those Fano fighters who were there at the monastery, and they were arrested by security forces. You can see some pictures on your screen. These are reportedly the Fano fighters who were there at the monastery, and some have been arrested. There were hundreds reportedly. It means that majority of them managed to flee, or some might have been killed too, but some have been captured, being shown by pro-government media sources. Weapons were shown to Fano fighters were armed there. What were they doing there armed? Should anyone be armed at a monastery? Very valid question. Thirdly, bunkers and fortresses built at the monastery have also been shown. Why were fortresses built there? Are monasteries protected by building fortresses, bunkers around them? It means that the area was being used as a base by some armed group, and it has been confirmed now by Debre Elias Wareda communication office. The other side, Amhara activists are sharing pictures of children. Where several children, several kids were injured, several women were injured, and they're being treated at hospitals in Debre Elias, Debre Morocco's hospitals now. The pictures are being shared, graphic pictures showing some injured children. We don't know if they are the ones who were injured in Debre Morocco, in Debre Elias monastery. We don't know. The pictures are being shared by some activists. Overall, we can sum up that based on my information from the area that Fano fighters were there at the monastery. They were there in the surroundings of monastery as well. They were trying to organize people. They were armed. Security forces launched operation. There was exchange of gunfire. Fano fighters injured, arrested, some fled. Locals, Orthodox believers were injured and killed too. But how many were injured, how many were killed, how many were arrested? No details from the government so far. Lastly, viewers, Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia are being harassed. Violations of human rights are being committed. Who confirmed that? Well, Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has confirmed in a report that in Addis Ababa, Eritrean refugees are being harassed. They are being arrested in all sub-cities of Addis Ababa. A crackdown has been launched. They're being arrested for violating a code of conduct. They are being arrested for working. They're not allowed to work. They're being arrested for leaving their camps. They're not allowed to leave the camps. They must be at their camps. That is why Addis Ababa police is arresting Eritrean refugees. Well, firstly, yes, refugees cannot work without permission from government. They cannot leave camps without permission from government. Both points are valid. At the same time, are refugees being given enough food at the camps? Because we have seen complaints at Alim Watch and some other refugee camps that refugees were not being given enough food. So they were forced to flee the camps and work, or forced to flee or to return to their country. A few days ago, there was a protest at Alim Watch refugee camp in Amhara, where Eritrean refugees chanted slogans. They wanted to return to Eritrea because situation at the camp was worrying in terms of delivery of food, etc. So, Human Rights Commission of Ethiopia should share details which violations are being committed by Ethiopian government. What I have learned is that government is delaying the issuance of documents. Government offices are not cooperating with Eritrean refugees. That is why they are suffering. If government wants them to be at camps, yes, government has a right to say that. If government is opposing their employment without government's permission, yes, government is right. But government cannot delay issuance of documents to Eritrean refugees, which is happening. And that is why refugees are unable sometimes to fly abroad, because Ethiopian authorities are not cooperating with them for issuance of documents, etc. So overall, we can say that Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia are suffering because they see Ethiopia as a transit. They want to leave Ethiopia to reach somewhere else. They see Sudan as transit. But if they are caught in Sudan, if they are caught in Ethiopia, it means that they are unable to achieve what they plan to do. And having said that, yes, corrupt practices are being reported in departments dealing with Eritrean refugees, especially in Ethiopia. In Sudan, situation is worse. War now, and before that, trafficking networks were operating. The refugees were being abducted, still being abducted. Then their families are contacted, and ransom is demanded. In Ethiopia, at least, there are no abductions, but government departments are not cooperating with Eritrean refugees reportedly. Thank you for watching.